Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire, and so I recently got my hands on the Xbox One X. So this is the new console that Microsoft has just put out. New as in it's a new version of the console that they've already put out, but this one is one hell of a step up from the old version of the Xbox. And so I thought I would do a quick little video on it here, sort of an unboxing review, kind of like I did when I first got a Nintendo Switch. If you want to see that video, you can click the I right up there. But basically, I'm just going to have a look at this thing, see what actually comes with it, try it out, see is it actually that much better than the Xbox One? You know, what's the difference, and hopefully give you potential buyers some information, because it's not a small amount to buy an Xbox One X. And the thing I've seen a lot of comments about and people asking is like, but is it worth it? So that's hopefully the question I'm going to answer here for you today. So again, this is one of those special kind of videos where I'm kind of doing something a little outside of what I usually do, but hopefully it goes well. And to give a little bit of a background on me in case you're new to the channel or you're not familiar with my content, I do have an Xbox One. It's the original, the first version, the one that actually still has the connection for the Kinect. This one does not, by the way. In fact, that's one thing worth noting. If you want to play Kinect games, you can't play them out of the box with this thing. If you want to play Kinect games now, you would actually have to buy this fucking thing here, which I actually own, the Kinect adapter, which lets you connect your Kinect to your Xbox. More or less, Microsoft has given up on the technology, which is such a shame, because then you aren't able to play awesome games like this.
What do I do? What the fuck? What? What?
No, but all joking aside, it doesn't have a Kinect thing. Microsoft's pretty much given up on the Kinect, which I think is probably a good call. I mean, I have the Kinect for my old Xbox. It's actually up there in the corner right now with a piece of fabric over it. Even though I post 7 videos a week and I probably have a camera on me for about 5 hours a week recording those, I don't like something fucking watching me at all times. I just don't. And I never really found that the Kinect worked that well, to be honest. The only ever really good implementation of it that I saw was in Dead Rising 3, where if you made a lot of noise, it would attract zombies. As someone who was actually doing a Let's Play of the series at the time, when I realized this is why I was constantly getting fucking mobbed, it pissed me off, and then I realized it was awesome. So it's more or less a glorified microphone. Nobody really cares about it. You don't need it. So yeah, I play a lot of my games actually on my Xbox One. It's probably the console that I use the most. Like, it has a lot of really good retro games, which is what I'm into, AAA games, everything like that. I really like the controller. It just runs well, everything looks good. There's been a lot of updates recently which have really improved the interface. Not that it was terrible before, but it's definitely better now. And I would have to say it's probably the console that I use for media streaming the most as well. Like, if I want to watch YouTube on my TV or if I want to load up Netflix, I usually do the Xbox. I feel it works really well. So yeah, guys, that's probably about enough for an intro, so let's go right to the unboxing. Alright guys, well here it is, the Xbox One X Scorpio Edition. As you can see, it comes in this really massive box, which you might have seen earlier. And I gotta say, it's also quite heavy. Like, I've opened up a few consoles in my day. This thing, the weight of this box rivals like what I had with the PS3. But anyways, it's pretty hefty. It's in this nice, sleek box with the Xbox branding. So let's just cut right into this, right? Let's get to the meat of it. Okay, so immediately when opening it up here, it comes with this getting started Xbox One X thing, which comes with a Game Pass, apparently. Redeem code below for 14 days free. That's cool, actually. I didn't even realize that they give you a free Xbox Gold Pass. Oh, and you also get a 1-month free Xbox Game Pass. Over 100 games, lets you play them all, try them out. That's pretty cool. And oh yeah, they got an ad for the Design Lab, which I gotta say, these controllers here that they're showing look really good. Like, I've never really been one to be into like the controller custom thing, you know, like the gamer bling, but that light blue one looks pretty fucking sexy. There's also a getting started guide here, which shows you all the basics. I mean, Nothing that, if you've ever had a console, you can probably figure out how to do this, but obviously that's got to be included. It's cool too that they give you like this box and not like a booklet like they usually do. Huh. Okay, and here obviously we have the console itself packed in with styrofoam. And then on the side here we have, I guess, the accessories. Let's have a look at the less interesting stuff first. So you have your power cord for the console. Yeah, that makes sense, right? And then, oh, it comes with an HDMI cable, which I gotta say, I noticed on my old Xbox, the HDMI cables that come with Xbox are actually good quality. Like, I've tested out different ones. The one that comes with PlayStation, I never really cared for. Same thing with the Switch, the Wii U. But the one that came with my Xbox, I actually still use. Not on my Xbox, it's not long enough, but I do still use it. So this is probably a pretty good quality cable. And then, what else is in here? Okay. Oh, and it comes with a controller. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Standard Xbox One controller. Actually, it's got a different finish than mine. Like, it's all this kind of plastic. Well, this is usually shinier. I guess maybe that's the new aesthetic. Oh, and it's actually the controller on the sides here. This is like textured to give you a better grip. That's really cool, actually. I mean, I don't think it would be worth buying a controller just for that, but... And it comes with 2 AA batteries. That's always great when they actually come with batteries. It almost never does. I don't think my old Xbox, like when I bought that one, I don't think that one came with batteries for the controller. Much appreciated. There's also a product and regulatory guide in there. It's crap. I mean, nobody reads this, right? I don't think anybody reads this, but hey, it's in there. So that's pretty much it for the big box. Now, obviously, the pièce de résistance is the actual console itself. Which, let's try and get it nicely out of there. Oof, this is hefty, man. This is a heavy-duty fucking console. So let's try and open this up nicely here and have a look and see what it looks like. I'm curious what it looks like compared to my old Xbox, because I haven't really looked at the differences aesthetically. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't really paid that much attention, so I'm curious. Wow, okay, so this is a much slimmer, much sleeker model. It actually kind of reminds me of the PS4, actually. At least the original version of the PS4. So it definitely reminds me of that like more streamlined look of the PlayStation 4. It's all this matte color, which you can see as opposed to being shiny, kind of very different than the other Xbox. It's also thinner than my older Xbox. And it looks really nice. I gotta say, like, this is a sexy fucking console. In the back here, you got all your shit out. You got 2 USB ports, IR, this, internet, HDMI, everything you need. And it is like, that is a weighty console. I know you can also get a vertical stand, which I think probably with this console is a good idea. Kind of set it up like that. But yeah, guys, so that's pretty much the unboxing portion of this. This is a cool machine. I like the way it looks. Like, it's probably one of the sexiest, sleekest looking consoles I've put my hands on. You can tell that they put a lot of work into this. And you can tell that they're going for like the serious gamer with this. Like, it's got that very serious, this is not a toy look to it. Sharp contrast to something like the Switch with like the bright colored Joy-Cons and everything. So yeah, guys, that's the Xbox One X. I mean, it comes with less than I was expecting. It doesn't have a power block like the old Xbox that I have. It's all internalized, even though the Xbox itself is a lot slimmer. So that's pretty cool that they've kind of refined the technology. It comes with power cable, HDMI, slightly redesigned controller, which I think I actually like more than the old design. It's not a huge difference, but I like that kind of matte and shiny look contrast. I don't know. I like the way it looks. It comes with the information thing, and then your user guides, your free stuff in here, and some batteries, which honestly, props to you guys for including that. So many people would not. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for the unboxing. So now let's head back to the couch. All right, guys, so that's the Xbox One X. That's everything you get with it. As I mentioned, it's a very sleek, sexy machine. It definitely feels heavy duty and high quality when you hold it. It's smaller than my old Xbox One, although looking at the two side by side, not massively. So if you're hoping to save a lot of space, it's not a huge difference, but it is there. And it does, putting them side by side, man, it does look, the new one looks way better. Also, like I mentioned, the controller is pretty cool. I like the new one. It's not a big difference, but I like the textured grip, probably really good for shooters. So I'm booting it up right now. I'm going to get it set up, get everything installed, get everything working, good to go, and then we can actually compare side by side how it holds up to the old one, have a look at it. One of the major selling points about this console is that it does do true 4K, which means if you have a 4K monitor, this thing is your friend. Now, I'm lucky enough that I do have a 4K monitor, so that's what I'm going to have it hooked up to. One thing I will say is that you're going to see some footage from the console coming up. I'm only able to capture 1080p, so this console is actually above what my recording setup is able to do. So if you're wondering, that's why this video is not in 4K, that's why all the footage you're going to see is 1080p, but one of the things that a lot of people don't know is they actually do improvements to the 1080p as well. The graphics are supposed to look way better even on 1080p. It's supposed to be able to run 60 FPS solidly, so that's going to be really cool in games that have 60 FPS enabled. And it's still supposed to be better even as just a 1080p machine. Now, if you have a 4K monitor like I do, it's way above that, but it's good to know that if all you have right now is a 1080p setup and maybe you'll get 4K later on, this thing is still really good. And so a little bit more information on this thing, by the way, as I'm waiting for it to boot up here, is that it's supposed to be 40% more powerful than the PlayStation Pro, which was the console that PlayStation released as a mid-console as an upgrade to their PlayStation 4. And it's also supposed to be 4 times more powerful than the original Xbox One. Now that's pretty cool. Now again, this is a mid-release console, so it's not like the Xbox 2 or the Xbox Zero or whatever fucking stupid name they decide to call it, but it is a significant upgrade, and it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out and how that works. Something cool to note about this console as well is the controller that it comes with synced almost instantly the moment I turned it on. There was no hassle, I didn't have to fuck around with it. That's always nice. Console itself has a very sleek interface. It's nothing I haven't seen before, but it's still cool. They also give you the option to speed up the setup by going on your phone, going on an app, and doing the setup there while it's installing updates. And the update was actually under a gig, which is small, all things considered. Alright, so the setup was actually pretty painless. Like, it took a little bit to download, to verify, all that, but overall, it was actually fairly easy, like a million times easier than it was to set up my original Xbox, easier than a PS4 I've had to set up. The Nintendo Switch was probably comparable, but it's nice that they've streamlined the process. But anyways, guys, so I've got my controller, I've got this awesome, powerful machine that's 4 times better than the old one and 40% better than the PlayStation, and I'm ready to jump in, play some games, have a look at them, and really feel it out, you know? I know I did a compilation in my Switch video of me playing a bunch of random games on the Switch. I don't know if this is going to read as well as that, especially since, like I said, I can only capture at 1080p, but we're going to give it a go, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to see, you know, what happens. So yeah, guys, let's get to it. Yeah! Alright guys, so I had a lot of fun with that. I definitely saw improvements. I left it on the 1080p mode for the most part, because I feel like that was probably the best way to show you guys a difference. I know that it does have 4K. I did play it a bit in 4K, which looked amazing, but as I wasn't able to record it, it's kind of hard to really show. And my old Xbox doesn't really do 4K, so I couldn't really compare that footage. But for example, here you have Rocket League, both on the new Xbox and my old one, side by side, and you can see there is a difference. It's one of these games that's called an enhanced game, which means even at 1080p, it's gonna look and play better on the new Xbox. And it's not like a drop to your knees, oh my god, it's a massive improvement. Like, I wouldn't even say it's as big of an improvement from 720p to 1080p or from 1080p to 4K, but it definitely is there. So it's cool that if you own some of these older games, right out of the box, you pop them in and they look good on the new Xbox. That's great. And apparently there's like 130 games that have been optimized for this, and there's going to be more. It's more on like the developers to do that, but it's cool that some of them are out there. And again, I'll show you some more footage from others here, so you can kind of compare side by side, make your own decisions, but it's definitely better. In 4K, it would probably be the best looking 4K gaming experience I have ever seen on a console. And I honestly mean that. I have played the new PlayStation Pro. It looked good. I actually played Rocket League on that PlayStation Pro. Looked good. I do feel like it looks better on the Xbox. One of the other really cool things about this new Xbox is the loading times are super quick. Like, I noticed on the old one that there were at least some games where the loading times could kind of really drag on, and I compared side by side, and the new one is way better. Like, they're not kidding when they say it's 4 times faster. I don't know if it was legitimately 4 times for the loading times, but there was a noticeable improvement. And if you play a lot of games, huge games where there's a lot of loading times, this is gonna make your life a lot happier. So obviously I like this machine. Like, it's solid, it's great, it runs really well, it's powerful. The only real con I can give it at this point is something I wasn't expecting, is that I do find the console is a bit louder than my old Xbox, which I thought was a little strange, but maybe it was just me, maybe you might have different results. It's not like so loud that like it annoys you, but I'm used to the console being pretty much silent, and there's a little bit of a noise, especially when it's reading a disc. So just something to keep in mind for you guys who might be playing it. Again, your results may vary as well. One other cool thing to note is that while my original Xbox is actually like touch-based to turn on this one it's an actual button. Kind of reminds me of the PS3, how the original PS3 is also just touch-based, but the slim version you actually have to click a button. Now at the end of the day, the big question is it worth it? Should I go out and buy this thing? And honestly, that's a hard question to answer. Now, I'd have to say probably the main target audience for this console is previous Xbox owners. Because generally, if you don't have an Xbox, I don't think this would make you run out and buy one. I mean, if you're a huge purist for like the best resolution you can possibly get, to be honest, a PC is going to give you a better option. Now, if you want the absolute best picture and quality you can get out of a console, yes, I mean, hands down, this is the best that is out there currently. Honestly, if you currently own an Xbox, is it worth running out there and buying this? I would say if you play a lot of like the AAA titles, like the big games, your Call of Duties, your Assassin's Creed, all these games that are going to get a boost by this, then definitely that's a point in its favor. If you own like an old Xbox that doesn't work very well, or the hard drive is just way too tiny, like if you got the 500 gig version like I did, then honestly this thing is way better and probably worth it. Now obviously the price is pretty high on this thing. One cool thing that a lot of places are allowing now though is if you have an existing Xbox, you can trade it in and get like a $75 or $100 credit on it, so that would help bring the price of this down. Honestly, I feel like the biggest factor though is really going to be, do you have a 4K TV and do you play a lot of Xbox games? If your answer is yes to both of those, and of those Xbox games, a lot of them are AAA titles or titles that are enhanced or supported by this, then honestly, yes, I absolutely feel it's worth it. If you have just a 1080p display and you're not planning on upgrading anytime in the future, honestly, if you have an Xbox, I don't think I would recommend this. The graphical fidelity and improved textures and everything else, the improved load times, they are great, but $600 plus great? I don't know. Personally, for me, it really wouldn't be worth it just for that, but the fact that this thing supports 4K obviously is a huge factor for it. If you think you might get a 4K TV in the future, then yeah, sure, but if you're never planning on upgrading to 4K, or at least not until like the next generation of consoles, I probably wouldn't recommend this. So overall, this is really the most powerful console that you can get. Again, something else I've seen a lot of people say is, well, if you want something like this, why don't you just get a PC? And I mean, it's not like that's not a valid point. You are going to get more power out of a PC. Although one thing I'll say, and as somebody who has recently started doing the research and the steps to build a good PC, you actually are going to be hard pressed to build a PC as powerful as this thing for like the same cost. Like, honestly, you're getting a really good deal here, and I've seen other people, I remember Bookie2988 actually mentioned that they might be selling it for almost cost, just to try and get it out there to get people to buy it and then make the money off the 4K games. Unless you're finding some massive deals, it's going to be hard to build a computer this powerful for that price. And I'm someone who plays both games on the PC and also on consoles. So I'm not like somebody who's completely biased towards either side. I definitely see the value of having a PC. You can do so much more with a computer, right? You can, I don't know, go on social media or do whatever the hell else people do on the internet these days, or, you know, do your work. I'm making a really bad case for PCs here, guys. But honestly, there's so much more you can do with a PC, but I really do like the fact that a console is just, you sit down, you turn it on, you have your controller, everything works. Console games also tend to be a lot less buggy, and you don't have issues with like trying to get your controllers to pair, controllers to work, even with the games like you do all the time with PC. Like, there is an ease of mind and accessibility thing that you get out of a console, and if you want the most powerful console you can get, this Xbox One X is it. It's the thing you're looking for. Another thing people complain about with the Xbox is they don't like the exclusives. Honestly, I would have to kind of agree with that. I feel like Sony really has better exclusives at this point, unless you're into Nintendo. But Nintendo, it feels like most Nintendo games are exclusives. Are they necessarily better? I don't know. It's true that I feel Sony probably has better exclusives, but for exclusives, you really have to look at like, what do you like? What do you want to play? Even if Sony has more to offer, you might like the ones Xbox has more. Another point for Sony here would be also that the PlayStation has like PlayStation VR, PlayStation Move, yada yada yada. The Xbox pretty much just has the Kinect, which like I said is kind of a glorified microphone, and this one doesn't even have a Kinect port. You have to buy that fucking thing I showed, which is such a shame because you can't even play games like this. Really? I mean, do you really want to miss out on that amazingness? I'm totally kidding, but you get the point. Like, Xbox is really trying to make themselves out to be just like a serious gaming machine, which, I mean, there is a market for that, so I'm curious to see how this does. So yeah, guys, overall, I would have to say this is a really solid console. I like it way better than my older Xbox. It runs everything well, the loading times are very small, the graphics are amazing, even in 1080p. But again, if you already have an Xbox and only a 1080p setup, I don't think it's worth the price to upgrade. But if you do have a 4K setup and you want to really capitalize on that, this thing is definitely a good buy, especially if you like Xbox games. I mean, I don't know really what else there is to say. Xbox in general it's a good console. I love the controller. Out of all the controllers on like modern consoles, I think the Xbox one is probably my favorite. I just like the form feel and I find it works really well. And one other plus for Xbox is I find a lot of third-party games, like games you can get on multiple consoles, really seem to run the best on Xbox. Like, for example, I've played Overcooked, a game I really like, on several consoles. I've played it on Steam, played it on the Nintendo Switch, on the Xbox, runs best on Xbox. Played Sonic Mania on various consoles, honestly, feel like it runs best on Xbox. And a lot of people seem to agree with me on a variety of titles. So if you're not all about the exclusives, this could be the best console for you. Again, of course, that's something that's a little bit subjective, but it is good to know that it's solid for playing those kind of games. And it's also great that there's already 130 games out there that take advantage of the better power and graphical capabilities of this machine. And it's good to know that there's going to be even more in the future, and people are probably going to start developing for this, considering it's such a fucking presence now. For me, I'm someone who likes to play a lot more indie games and that kind of thing as opposed to AAA titles, so I'm curious to see really how the indie scene adapts to this. I'm not sure how that's going to work out for them or for me, but if you like the big budget explosions, in your face shooter type games, this thing is probably the best you can do on a console, and I mean that in a good way. So yeah guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. I think I've said everything there really is to be said. This is an awesome console. I applaud Xbox for making it. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm curious on seeing where it goes in the future. And I'd like to give a little shout out to Murray, the guy who actually hooked me up with this. I wasn't expecting it, and it's really appreciated. Big thanks. So yeah guys, that pretty much covers everything. I'd be very interested in knowing your opinions down in the comments below. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Hey guys, my name is Rob Noire, and I've got a special video for you today all about the Nintendo Switch. So I just picked one of these up earlier today. It was when it first came out. I played with a friend of mine the PS4 version. I must have played it probably about 4 or 5 times. I was never